Dear students, today I would like to take a class on the topic Introduction to Linguistics for Honors Part 3. And students face a lot of troubles in this paper. It is considered to be somewhat difficult for them, but actually if students pay attention to this course attentively, it will not be very much difficult for them to take preparation on this course. And therefore I have decided to take few classes or some classes on this course so that it will be easier for you to take preparation. And today I would like to talk about the characteristics of language. This is the first important thing apart from the definition of language. And if you try to go through this book, then you will get the definitions of language by many intellectual person. And if we think about the definition of language, then we will sum up in this way that language is used for communication. Language is used for communicating ideas, feelings, emotions. And language is actually a set of symbols by which a person will convey his feelings to others. And language is for actually exchanging or sharing views, opinions and ideas. So if we think about the characteristics of language, then we will find some prominent characteristics which will be considered to be very much important for understanding the language. And the first important characteristic is that language is arbitrary. It means that it is based on the emotion. It is based on some sort of authority over the language actually. And there is no logical logic. There is no logic actually in the set of the language actually, or in the selection of the words in a language. It is not found to be very much logical to consider the women to be women. The word is used by the people, or the word has been used by the people for long, and that is why the women means the female community. But if other word is used for this, then we may use that word for the female community. So in this way actually language is developed according to the use of the people, and that is very much important in the true sense of the term. And the second important thing is that the second important characteristic of language is that language is a system. And language is always systematic. If we think about the word, if we think about the sentence, if we think about the expression, then we will find a system everywhere. And if we think about the language, there must be the importance of the system. But if we think about the jargoning of the words, then there may not be any system. But whenever it is language, there should be a system, and there is definitely a system inherent in language. The third one is that language is symbolic. The third important characteristic is that language is symbolic because the words or the expressions are based on symbols, and symbols are very much important for developing language actually. The fourth one is that the language is human. Language is definitely human. The other birds or animals are also habituated to use expressions, but that is not considered to be language. Language is closely related to human beings, and whenever human beings express their feelings or views or opinions that is considered to be a language. And language is also non-instinctive. It is non-instinctive, and the language is for learning, and a baby learns the language from his surroundings, and with the passage of time his language or her language is developed. So language is definitely meant to be learned, and that is non-instinctive, that is not instinctive. And language is vocal. If one doesn't express his or her feelings, that is not language. As long as the feelings are inside the mind, we cannot consider it to be a language. We can consider it to be language whenever he or she will express his or her feelings, and that is why language is definitely vocal. Language is articulatory. Language is articulatory, and definitely there should be the articulation, there should be the expression, there should be the eloquence, there should be the movement of his or her limbs, and that is definitely important in case of language. And language is conventional also, because language is not originated overnight. Language in a community develops for long time, and that is why it is conventional. Out of convention, language is developed in a community. People are habituated to use his or her or their language, and that is a convention prevalent in a society, and because of that convention, language is developed. Language has been developed in a community, in a society. And language is a social phenomenon. In a society, there is the necessity of language. In every society, people are habituated to share their feelings to each other, one another, and that is why language is considered to be a social phenomenon. Language is culture related, and culture influences language. If we think about the Muslim and Hindu community in our country, then we will find some languages very much related to the Muslim community, and some languages very much related to Hindu community. But in a similar society, both these communities are living, but they have their own languages, and that is definitely related to culture. And language is open-ended. That is another important characteristic, that language is open-ended and changeable. Language is not fixed. With the passage of time, the language may be changed. Language is open-ended, and language will definitely a dynamic process. And people may innovate newer words for exchanging their views and opinions. Language is a means of communication. This is another important thing, that language is a means of communication. Definitely, language is used not for any dormant purpose. Rather, it is a means of communication with one another, and that is an important phenomenon of language. Language is structurally complex. If we think about the structure of language, definitely it is complex. But if we think automatic process of learning a language in a particular society, then it may not be very much difficult. But whenever a person will decide to learn a language systematically, then it will be found that it is structurally very much complex. Language is natural. It is very much natural. It is not unnatural, and it is a natural process, and people will learn the language naturally. And language is creative. It is a matter of creativity. And language is a matter of creativity. If a baby doesn't have the creativity, then that baby may not learn a language. As that baby has the tendency to be creative, to have the creativity, and that is why he or she will learn the language. Language is a shared phenomenon. It is a matter of sharing. It is a matter of expression. It is a matter of sharing. It is a matter of exchanging views and opinions. That is important thing. Language is both oral and auditory. Language is both oral. It is a matter of expression by someone, and it is a matter of reception of that expression by another person. If there will not be the expression as well as reception of the words or language, it will not be considered to be a language. And language is a habitual process, and language is a matter of habitual process. and people will be habituated to use the language, and with the process of this habit, a person learns the language. In a society, in a community, it is found that one person is interested to learn a language, and if he will practice a lot, then it will be possible for him to develop the language. And if he doesn't have the tendency to practice or to make it a habit, then it will not be possible for him to learn the language. And in this way, actually, people will learn the language ultimately. So if we think about the characteristics of the language, then we will find these characteristics to be very much prevalent for all the languages of the world. This is not applicable only for Bangla or English or other language, but it is applicable for all the languages of the world. And we know there are so many languages around the whole world, and these characteristics are more or less applicable to all the languages of the world. And if we understand the language properly, if we understand the characteristics of the language properly, then it will be possible for us to have the basic ideas about the development of the language in a community. So thanks to all of you for your patient hearing to my lecture.